So, dear friends, today we will talk with you about how to sit in such a way that you do not get tired, so that you can sit for a long time, do something at the same time, and your back neck do not get tired. Most often they get tired. This video is helpful for those who sit for extended periods while using their hands. Because if you just sit and do nothing with your hands, it's a slightly different problem. And today we will talk about how to sit in such a way that nothing gets tired, nothing hurts. When you do something here, write, eat. In general, your hands are busy with something while doing this. First, examine common occurrences that lead to numerous issues. When I sit like this, my waist turns out to be too far from the edge of the table. Here is the edge of the table, here is my waist. Well, these two little bones here, which you can touch. This is the front upper bone of the pelvic bone. They protrude here, two little bones of the waist. They are located very far from me here. And therefore, in order for me to do something here with my hands now, I need, you see, to tilt the upper part of my body forward like this. And here I find myself in such a position that my hands are now resting on the table. That is, if I remove my hands here, I will either fall forward or I will have to strain my back strongly to not fall forward. And if in this position I start doing something with my hands, this hand, you see, the left one, is here for me now to lean on it. That is, I lean on this hand. And it is also needed now so as not to fall forward like this, not to fall. That is, the first thing you can't do. You can't, when you are writing, eating, you can't put your left hand here under any circumstances. If it's here, it means that you are sitting very far from the table. So the first thing you need to do is to sit closer to the table so that your pelvis is closer to the edge of the table. So you don't have to be in this position. When you have this part of the chest here, this breastbone here, when it's in front of these two bones, it's very hard to straighten your back in this position. It's generally hard to maintain this position, but if your hands are also in front of you, the load on your spine doubles. If you're also shuffling here with your hands, all this is held on the spine, it's very difficult for the back muscles to work in this position. So the first thing you need to do is just move the stool closer. At the same time, you can also lean on the stool. That is, it's not necessarily to touch the stool's back. That is, you can also lean on the back of the stool. The most important thing is to sit in such a way that you don't have to lean forward. And with this, there's no longer a desire to support yourself with your hands on the table, to put them on the table. Here's the distance, like they teach in school, so that you have approximately the width of a palm. But you will have the width of a palm in any case, even when. Like this, you sit with your hands. When you're doing something here, the width of the palm is also here, but this is incorrect. Because the sacrum is further than this part of the chest bone. So the first thing you need to do to sit correctly is to bring your sacrum closer to the table. Either with a stool or without a stool, however you want. But it's better with a stool so you can lean on your back if needed. That's the first thing. And the second, this left hand. It should never be here. That is, when you write, you can only put this hand here at most. When you eat, it should also not be here. Also here. Or here if it's not needed at all. That is, you can put it here on the thigh. This is the most that can be done if required. That is, the further your elbow goes forward, the harder it becomes to maintain this position. The further you sit, the further you will reach forward with your hands. The harder it is for the muscles to work. The further the elbow goes forward from the shoulder, the harder it is for the muscles to work like this, on the trapezius between the shoulder blades. Only the load on these back muscles remains. The closer you sit, the closer the elbow is to you, and the easier it is to do all this. That is, you see, the hands are on the weight. No effort is needed to hold them on the weight. They move freely here. If the hands are here, then it's very hard to hold them on the weight. The back gets tired. These muscles get tired. That's why we sit closer. This distance, it should be like this. Not because you leaned over, but because you've already sat closer to the table and everything here is free. Please do with your hands. That is, if you sit and your hands are raised, nothing gets tired at the same time. Then everything is fine. Now I will show the same thing in the process. Yes, on the computer, on the laptop, live how all this can be done. So here it is. Look how all this is done in practice already. Yes, that is, if I sat down like this, you see, I'm doing something here, playing, for example, or dealing with less important things. Let's say I'm typing something for work. That is, if everything happens like this, you see how far my hands are now. That is, I'm practically holding on with my hands here. I'll remove them. And I have to stop my forward fall with my back now, or put my hand back to avoid falling. That is, this position where I am simultaneously pushing and moving with my hands, it's very bad, very difficult. That's it. What to do? Move the mouse closer to yourself. It can also move. Move it closer to yourself. You need to sit closer here. See how the position has changed. You can wrap around, you can not wrap around. As you like, as you prefer. You can even do this on a stool. Everything is fine. The main thing is to keep your elbow from going too far forward while exercising. So, please, here, see, we do everything. That is, the spine will not automatically set, everything will be fine. It has already become more effective. The game went better. There were fewer mistakes in the sentences. Here, that is, this is the first thing. How to check if you are sitting correctly or not. You seem to have sat down. Here you are sitting. And try to lift your feet off the floor. Try to lift your soles. If they can be lifted, here you are sitting. 1, lifted. And at this position of the body, you see, it doesn't change much. So you sat down normally. If you sit in this position, right? When you lean forward like this, your feet won't be able to lift off the floor. Even 1, when you try to lift it, you'll lean a bit. But if you support yourself with your hands, here, you see, they lift off because you're already holding on with your hands. Remove your hands. It won't work. You'll fall forward. Here's a test, whether you're sitting correctly or not. If you sat down as you should, yes, they are free. You see, they lift off. But you can move the stool. Yes, you cannot move the stool. It also depends on the length of your arms. Ideally, everything here should be closer to you. Look, you sat like this, leaned on your back, there seems to be no load here, right? But also because of the fact that this part too, it's like it's closer, yes, than the chest bone, but the chest bone is already very far away. And here the spine won't be fixed, these muscles will be fixed here. That is, these are also hands, you see, too far away. And now everything is held on these muscles. Looking forward while doing this will minimize problems. But if you do something like this and start moving your head as well, that's when problems start to occur. Because these muscles are both tense, and when they start to stretch while being tense, they don't really like it. Therefore, it's desirable for your elbow to always be as close as possible. The closer the better. In general, look at these poses. They are very good at them. They've mastered doing them. Those who used to type on these machines, their machine was also like this. That is, each row was higher. They sat closer. In movies, they show court sessions. And these people who used to type there, they conduct this session. What do they call them? Typists. They were specifically taught to sit like this. They sat closer. And here they wrote everything. But their machine was even like this. And they had to press even harder. None of them were like this. A typist who wanted to do her job like this, she couldn't last long at work. And a typist like this, she successfully worked until retirement, and she is now resting at her country house. So, friends, in general, you are not machinists now. Yes, you are still these programmers. We do everything on the computer or play there, but we are engaged in something important. And in short, all this needs to be taken into account. That is, hands here. Sit closer. You can with a stool. You can without a stool. That is, it's not necessary to... This is also bad. Nothing good. This is also bad. That is, it's desirable to have hands here. If you sit correctly in principle, you may not even lean on a stool. If you want to lean on a stool, then you'll have to do everything here. See? That is, either sit closer so that the mouse is right here, so that this keyboard is right here, so that everything happens here. It doesn't always work out that way. Well, these are, in general, the things. Until new meetings.